Assalamu alaikum everyone, and a very good evening to you all. I hope you all well and keeping safe during this time. Please wear your masks, follow social distancing protocol, and get vaccinated as soon as possible. My name is Syed Asad Ali Shah. I'm an Education USA advisor based in Islamabad at the United States Educational Foundation in Pakistan, USEFP. I'm a graduate of University of Montana, where I did my master's degree. I'm joined by my colleague advisors, Mashal Naeem Khan, Isma Aslam, and Raja Suhaib Jahangir. We welcome you all to the sixth and the last session of our week-long virtual pre-departure orientation 2021, organized for students who applied to US institutions and are heading out primarily in the fall of 2021. Congratulations to you all on receiving an acceptance from a US university. You all have worked very hard. During our PDO week, we have covered topics such as preparation and arrival in the USA, cultural adaptation and student life in the USA, US classroom culture separately for both graduate and undergraduate students. And today we will conclude the week with a current student and alumni panel discussion for graduate students. During our session today, you'll hear from current graduate students and alumni of various US institutions as they share their pre-departure experience. This is a great opportunity to ask them questions regarding their experience as an international graduate student in the USA. Please feel free to drop in your questions in the Q&A section. Now, as mentioned in our confirmation email that we sent out to you, we want to encourage your participation, which is why we have included a quiz at the end of our presentation. Winners will be winning these fabulous prizes. We are giving away wireless earbuds, fitness tracker, and portable speaker. One participant can win only one prize throughout the PDO week. A few housekeeping rules before we start. The session will be approximately 1 hour. The session will be recorded and posted on Facebook at a later date. Questions will be answered towards the end of the presentation. Use the Q&A box to leave your questions. The question for today's quiz is taken from today's presentation. So make sure you are listening to us and our panelists very carefully. To participate, you should have already sent us a scanned copy of your I-20 or DS 2019. Winners will get to take the prize only if they submitted their I-20 or DS 2019 before the session today. We have one question in the quiz section. Good luck to you all. We are very excited. Before we start, a little bit about who we are. We are Education USA Pakistan. Education USA is a global network under the US Department of State made up of over 425 international student advising centers in more than 175 countries. We are your official source to US higher education through Education USA advisors, working with advisees to provide most updated, comprehensive and unbiased information on higher education in the United States. In Pakistan, we are part of a United States Educational Foundation, USEFP, which is also the Fulbright Commission in the country. USEFP promotes mutual understanding between the people of Pakistan and the people of United States through educational and cultural exchange. We have offices in Islamabad, Lahore, and Karachi, but are available for any student that needs support or advising throughout Pakistan virtually through email and call. Given the current COVID-19 situation, Education USA Pakistan is completely virtual, so you can easily access our advising services and sessions online. Other than advising, USEFP also has a programs department that administers multiple fully funded programs, including the Fulbright Scholarship, and has an authorized prometric testing center at all 3 centers. You can find more details on our website, usefp.org. Coming back to our session, before we start our panel discussion, I would like to briefly introduce our panelists. Our first panelist is Atif Ali. Atif Ali is pursuing MSc Sustainable Energy at Sony College of Environmental Science and Forestry, Syracuse, New York. Additionally, he is working as a graduate assistant at the Department of Sustainable Resources Management. Our next panelist is Saman Mehak. Saman is studying clinical psychology at Emporia State University. She aims to specialize in psychiatric pharmacy. During the day, she works as a graduate teaching assistant, administrative research assistant at Emporia State University. After work, her friends teach her the traditional American ways while she is on a mission to make them immune to hot and spicy Pakistani food. We also have with us Kalsoom Jan. Kalsoom is pursuing a PhD in polymer and plastics engineering at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. Her research interests mainly focus on designing computational and experimental methods for the conversion of plastics waste to value-added chemical products. The next panelist is Sana Fatma Hussain. Sana is currently pursuing a master's degree in literary and cultural studies at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She also has a master's in literature from Fatma Jinnah University and has worked in various content and research related roles in Pakistan. We also have with us Madiha Nazir. Madiha is pursuing PhD at North Carolina State University. She is currently working on a research project to study and genetically modify anaerobic bacteria. She loves doing yoga and staying active. Our last panelist is Mohammad Hussain Alvi. Mohammad completed his bachelor's in mechanical, MS in mechanical and electrical, and PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He currently works as a researcher on electric vehicles in General Motors. That was a brief introduction of our panelists. We thank our panelists for taking out the time to be part of our session today. Please note if you have any questions during the session, feel free to use the Q&A section. We'll try to include as many of your questions as possible towards the end of our session. Thank you. So moving on to our questions for our panelists. Our first question is for Atif Ali. Atif, for new coming students, are there any new challenges because of COVID-19 pandemic that these students might face? What vaccinations are required prior to your arrival on campus?
Thank you, Asad, for the introduction. And because of COVID, things have been difficult, especially when we arrived here. My university had a hybrid mixture. Some classes were online, some were on campus. But now, mostly universities in US, they are planning to have in-person classes from this fall, and all the universities are encouraging students to get vaccinated. So hopefully, classes will be in person unless we we have another wave and things get bad. But yes, they should receive COVID vaccine. I guess that should be a new requirement considering the global situation right now. And other vaccinations, they will vary from school to school. My school asked me to get MMR vaccine. I don't know about the other schools. So that was the only vaccination I had to receive before coming here. And they should keep in mind the quarantine regulations because nowadays regulations are changing almost every day. So we have no idea what will be the situation in Pakistan in coming weeks or in the next month. So they should keep an eye and book flights, keeping everything in mind, and they should also keep in mind the quarantine regulation. Last time I arrived, it was like 4 days I had to quarantine at that time in January. I don't know what will be regulation now. Plan accordingly. Like keep in mind the global situation, quarantine regulations, the vaccinations their schools will tell them, and I guess they should receive COVID vaccination as soon as possible.
Thank you, Atif. And I'll just quickly add, please reach out to your university and ask them what their requirements are regarding vaccinations, COVID vaccination and other vaccination. So please stay in touch with your university and reach out to them before you travel. Thank you, Atif. My next question is for Saman. Saman, when and how did you finalize your accommodation? Would you recommend students to live on campus or off campus?
Hey everyone, thank you for the introduction and also congratulations to everyone who got their admission. So I was in the same university for Global U Grad as well. So one of the things that I did was to contact my friends even before or during the process when I was filling out my application. And I also made sure to contact the Office of International Education or whichever office in your university deals with international students, because they would be your most reliable and safest bet to get the right kind of information, whether your city or wherever you're living is a place where you would want to live off campus or on campus. And a lot of things would contribute towards your decision to live on campus or off campus. One of the things would be your budget, how much you're earning, or if you have a scholarship, your distance from the campus, if there's good public transportation that's available. Another important thing to consider is because you would be studying and it's going to be very intensive, if you want to have a roommate or not. And again, roommates, it's always a gamble. Sometimes you get a good roommate, sometimes you don't. So you have to be careful about that. If you have a car or you can bike, that's another option. If you have one, you can maybe live a little bit far away as well. So I guess most of you are a graduate or PhD students. I would suggest living off campus, but that's my personal preference. Like I said, a lot of things would contribute towards that. Another important thing to keep in consideration is to sign the lease for the rent for the apartment wherever you're renting afterwards, because a lot of times there are a lot of things that people are they don't take into consideration, like the living conditions or, like I said, the distance or the roommate. So I would suggest be there in person first, look at the apartment, and only then sign the lease. And if you're subletting or subleasing it to someone else as well, make sure that you're doing that with a reliable person, because sometimes if your roommate is not paying the rent, then you will be responsible for that. So I would suggest that, like, take all these things into consideration. It's because you would be studying and you don't want to be bothered by these secondary problems because you want to have all that figured out. So that's my advice from personal experience as well.
Thank you, Saman. And if you need help, if you have any question, you can always reach out to your international office.
Yes.
So next question is for Kalsoom Jan. Kalsoom, what are some pros and cons of taking online classes? What worked best for you? And what was most challenging? Also, what advice do you have for students who may be taking online classes this fall? Do we have Kalsoom online with us?
Actually, when I was taking online classes, then at that time we had two modes of online courses. One of them was the asynchronous, in which your quizzes, assignment, and recorded lectures are posted with ease of access by the Blackboard. That is actually without real time student and professor interaction. So in this case, you have a great flexibility of time. The main disadvantage is you just miss the interaction with your class fellows and professor. And while the second mode of online classes, which which we had was the synchronous mode, which is actually more interactive, is two-way online, in which you take the classes in real time with your professor. So in this case, actually adjusting to the time zone difference of Pakistan and the US is really such a big challenge. Your classes are in the middle of night. Sometimes you are sleeping and then sleeping all day. You just miss your family and friends gathering. So, but it has a great advantage of real interaction and collaboration with your professor and class fellows. And in my case, for me, adjusting to the time zone difference was most challenging. But no worries, professor just understand the situation and they just tried hard to facilitate me out of their way. And coming toward your second part of the question, first of all, I will strongly encourage students to go for online classes this fall, especially with synchronous mode. And I will advise that never hesitate to approach your professor and your class fellows, as you all will be in the same boat. You all will have the same fears or problems. So trust me, professor and your college will really appreciate your efforts if you are taking their online classes in the middle of the night. And if you have any sort of confusion or question, just email your professor, advisor, and your seniors, and they are very helpful. And another very important thing, like don't shy or hesitate to interact with your class fellows during the online semester, as this connection with your class fellows benefits you a lot when you will be looking for off-campus accommodation and roommates. And as you will already have friends there, so you will be easily adjusted there. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone or any other panelists, would you like to add something? If you have taken online classes in the US, do you have any advice for students?
Did you say my name? I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
No, all of my classes were in person, but a lot of my classmates were taking classes online, and there would be sometimes some problem with the connection, or they won't be able to hear things. But I think if everyone's working together and communicating well enough, it can work out pretty well.
Thank you. So we'll go to our next question. Next question is for Sana Fatma Hussain. Sana, what would be your advice for someone who has never traveled alone? How did you manage your travel to the USA? Do you have any tips to share?
Thank you, Asif. So the most important thing I feel is doing your research. I'm generally a very anxious person, and going on a transcontinental journey for the first time, I felt like having all the information on hand helped me feel prepared and more in control. So most of the information that you need is given on websites. You just need to go through the embassy's website, EduSA's resources, the airline's website, FAQs. I would also say first time travelers or students should travel light, have all their documents organized. Um, for someone like me, I felt comfortable having multiple copies of all my important documents, and having them readily available, so I didn't have to like search for them at the last minute or anything. I would also say if you're traveling for the first time, it would be a good idea, I feel, to have, in case of emergencies, have some important phone numbers on hand, written down on a piece of paper, in case your device runs out of battery or anything like that. You should have roaming on your phone, and enough credit to make calls in case of an emergency. You should also be mindful of your layovers, the gate numbers on your transit flights and stuff like that. Also, in these uncertain COVID times when rules and policies keep changing, I think it's best to just stay updated with everything that's going on in terms of travel restrictions or flight requirements, or different tests that different airlines need you to take. Um, so yeah, and apart from that, I would just say, try and enjoy your journey. This would be the start of a whole new adventure, so just soak it in and have fun.
Thank you, Sana. And I'll just quickly add, for our students, please let your international office, your university know about your travel plans. It's a great idea to let them know when you'll be traveling. So our next question is for Madiha. Madiha, would students' current laptop and phone work over there? Can they easily get a new phone? Madiha, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, that's fine.
So first, I want to congratulate all the students for getting this life-changing opportunity, and thank you, Asad, for inviting us, for sharing our experiences. And coming back to the question that I didn't bring my laptop with me here, and here libraries are quite sufficient and huge. If someone doesn't have a laptop, because for us Fulbright was giving us a laptop allowance as well, and I didn't, to be honest, I didn't had a good laptop back home, and I just left my laptop there, and I had Samsung A5, which worked completely fine. It was a basic Android phone, and it worked fine. I was able to connect internet on all the airports, and when I came here, I was able to connect with the university Wi-Fi and everything. So I think the phones these days, are everybody uses like Android or Apple or these phones with basic systems, so they should work pretty much fine. And if someone doesn't have a laptop, or like want to buy a laptop here, or if you bring a laptop here, that's fine, that will work fine. And if you don't want to bring it, and after some time you want to wait, libraries are good. So yeah, we should be good. Thank you.
Thank you. If any other panelists would like to share their experience of getting a new phone, will students be able to get a new phone easily over there? What was the process like? Sana, Mohammed, Atif, would you like to add something?
Let me add one thing. Sometimes the Chinese brand phones from Pakistan do not work over here well with the 4G network, so that might be some word of caution. Like I know Huawei sometimes has trouble over here connecting with the 4G. You only get the very slow internet from your cellular service otherwise. So it might be useful if you're trying, like, I mean, if you already have a phone, just bring it and try it out. But if you're trying to buy a new one, then it might be actually better to get it over here because electronics taxes are lower here too.
Thank you, Mohammed. The next question is again for Madiha. Madiha, when you
Mhm.
first went to the US, did you ever feel homesick? How did you deal with it, and what are your suggestions for upcoming students?
Okay, that is a good question. I am very badly homesick right now. I haven't been home for past 4 years, and I just want to run. But when I came here, it was like you do get homesick, but the key is to stay connected. And like when you arrive here, you are overwhelmed. You want to catch up with the classes, you are courses lene apne, and like you want to be on top of everything. And I would say talk to your family whenever you feel homesick. That is the key. And you get very busy some as well. तो शुरू में तो मुझे लगता है आके मिस करने का टाइम भी नहीं होता है. Like you don't get the time to miss your family even.
Completely.
And it's not just to, it's not to scare. Like you enjoy that, and I would say I would highly recommend plan to come here like at least 1 week before your orientation even. Like if you have, like if you're talking to someone about your apartment, if you like, you just get the feel of the city, you just move around, be comfortable. And like my journey arriving here was very dramatic. My flights were cancelled, and I slept like for 2 nights on like people's couches, and I didn't knew anyone here, anyone, literally anyone. And but still I survived. and also try to connect, like every university already have Fulbright alumni, like they have WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups. Connect with them and join them. Don't miss out on those gatherings, if they are on Zoom or if they are in person. Like they will help you a lot. You will connect a lot. All the Fulbrighters, they understand each other well, and every, like, I
Thank,
can assure you guys that
yeah, thank
everybody makes you feel
Thank
good,
you,
and
Fadia, to
so,
share your experience from a Fulbrighter perspective. Someone, Sana and Mohammed, or any other panelist who or who are have been studying there independently, would you like to share your experience? Someone, I think you were adding, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that I completely agree with her. Sometimes you don't even get time to miss your family or even talk to them for a few days in between. So and in a way, that's a good thing because you're very concentrated on your work. So you don't want to feel too homesick, because if you're homesick, you're not mentally too present and you won't be able to study that well. So in a way, that's a good thing. But again, you have to learn how to take care of yourself and manage your time
yeah.
properly.
And I would add that don't suppress, like you get busy and you are like, okay, I am busy, I am busy, and you just suddenly just break out. You shouldn't, like, nobody should do that either. Like any moment that someone feels sick, just talk to a friend or like talk to a family member. That helps a lot. Just
Thank
stay
you, Saman.
connected.
Thank you, Madiha. The next question is for Mohammed Hussein Alvi. Mohammed, how did you cope with cultural shock? What are your suggestions for upcoming students?
Yeah, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. In terms of cultural shock, it happens, but I think for people coming right now to US, especially because of the modern age, we watch TV shows from the US, we watch movies from the US. So I think like cultural shock was something of a more important factor back in the day, but not, right now it is a little bit more overrated. Right now we have a pretty clear idea of how college life in US looks like, and what are the expectations, what are the things that you'll have to deal with. So I think don't be scared of that. I mean, there will surely be some of it, how people interact with each other, how, like, like in Pakistan you have a certain degree of respect you would give to a professor. You never take his name. Over here you'll probably have some trouble with that some of the professors would, like when I first came, one of the biggest cultural shock thing for me was like I wouldn't be able to call my professor sir. Like they were like one of them would tell me like, hey, don't call me sir, man. I mean, just call me by my name. So these are tiny things that will happen. And I think like if you're just like watching movies or something like that, you already have a good idea of how this is happening, how these things happen over here. So I don't think you should be scared of that. People respectful, like people are very respectful towards your culture. People realize that different cultures have different values. So they will be more accommodating towards you. So don't be scared of uh, like doing something wrong in the cultural context. But one thing that I will definitely say is that try to Google some of the words that we sometimes tend to use in Pakistan are probably not accepted here sometimes because of racial tones and something like there are some words that we very commonly can use which are culturally accepted in the east but not really in the west. So just be aware of them. Don't make that mistake. Like there were like especially like related to anti-Semitism or Black Lives Matter stuff of that nature. Like I personally was not much aware of the Holocaust or stuff of that nature. So knowing that really helps out because that makes you culturally aware. Uh, and then in terms of like your own personal shock, cultural shock, one of the things that I think that I'll also say is like stay connected with your family, friends, and cousins, and like just call them. Like sometimes you do feel alone. Sometimes like whenever the cultural shock hits in, you feel like you're the only person. So try to connect back with your family home as well as uh, the new, because if you are the new one in the college, there's like hundreds of other students that are also going through the same experience. So to connect with them, and how you do that is through student organizations. You make sure you go to all the like the events that are there, like in the orientation weeks, like the weeks starting weeks, there's always like member meetings, like when they're like trying to get new members. So it's not just that you are looking for people to meet, but every student organization, I have been in like various student organizations, and every student organization is trying to get their membership up. So it's not that they are helping you, you're also helping them by being one of the many people in their organization. So that will be my 2 cents here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Our next question is for Saman and Mohammed. As a graduate student, what are some of the things that you should do during your first couple of weeks? Someone, would you like to start?
So, as a graduate assistant, could you repeat your question again? I think
As a graduate student.
as a graduate student, okay. I guess as a graduate student, the first few things you need to do is figure out your schedule. That's very important. Figure out where your classes are. Maybe talk to your professor, tell them that you're new here. What are your expectations? What do you expect from the professors? Maybe sometimes if that kind of communication is good. Talking to your academic advisors is also very important. And yes, I guess that's all I can think of right now.
Mohammed, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think a couple things will be like one thing would be regard to health insurance. Health insurance is something that in Pakistan is very rare. Over here, it's extremely important. So one of the first things that you should definitely do is to like get set up on your health insurance, because if you end up in the ER or hospital visit or something, and I've had those, like the bills are like in 20, 30, $40,000. So like you'll forget your tuition fee when the bill comes, if you, unfortunately, I hope not, but so you have to get a health insurance. You have to make sure that you have a good health insurance, and then once you get that health insurance, it will take some learning curve to understand what the various words mean, like deductibles and co-pays and co-insurance. Like spend some
Those
time
words are intentionally there to confuse you.
yeah, probably, yeah. It takes a long time to do that. So definitely try to like focus some time and energy on figuring that out. I think that would be something should be done as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that adding to that, again, contacting your Office of International Education is very important if you're not able to understand any of that. And at least in my university, they have a student insurance already set up, the whole program, the requirements that are required by the government, by the university, they already have that set up. So if you go to them, they enroll you in that program or in that insurance themselves, so you don't have to go through the process of searching for the right kind of insurance. And again, if you have any questions, ask someone. Never hesitate to ask questions, because you don't want to get stuck in a situation where you're not able to get out of it, or you're, like he said, stuck with a really big bill. So always ask questions, because everyone's really nice here. They'd be willing to help you out.
Thank you. And I think that's a great advice. Communication and asking questions, very important. And I'll just quickly add, to all students, you should not miss your orientations. Your program might have an orientation for you. University might have, will also, the university may have an orientation and the international office. So please do not miss your orientations. Orientations are important. Next question is for Atif Ali. Atif, how did you pack for your trip to the USA? What are some things that students must purchase and or carry before traveling?
Yes, the main thing is pack lightly, because check with your airlines how much baggage they are allowing you. I remember Qatar Airways used to give us 2 bags of 22 kgs, so you should keep that in mind. You don't need to exceed that. Honestly, you don't even need to pack a lot of stuff. You just need essentials, like whatever items you use daily, you must have them at least for first week or for the couple of weeks. You don't need to buy them as soon as you arrive there. But the main things you need to carry with you, your I-20, your DS 2019 form, pack one extra cloth, one pair of clothes, because usually there are long transition periods, and sometimes, as I can recall from my experience, my flights were delayed by more than 15 hours. So it was a bad experience. So in that case, you should have a pair of extra clothes with you in case you need to change them. You can also pack some snacks with you if you end up having a big layover at some airport, because in airports things are way too expensive. Bring your vaccination cards with you. I'm imagining like COVID vaccination will be a requirement when you will be traveling, so you should have that with you. If your airline asks you to get COVID test, you should have the COVID test report with you. And other things, you don't need to buy like big things like bed or pillows. Just pack your clothes, which you will normally use. You don't even need to like bring with you 5 or 6 jackets. Just bring 1 or 2 jackets in case the weather is very cold by then. You can literally buy good stuff from here at a good price. You won't find a similar stuff back in Pakistan. So it's always better to purchase these things after coming here rather than buying them from Pakistan. After coming here, you will realize like it doesn't work here, because at some places weather is extremely cold and the things you use to cover yourself back in Pakistan, they simply don't even work here. You need to buy good clothes for those specific weather conditions. So just bring essentials with you and your forms, all the documents. Don't miss your passport and I-20. It should be with you all the time, because at the immigration counter they will ask you for passport and I-20. I-20 is the main thing. If you don't have it, don't even consider like they will allow you to enter the country. And the other thing a good thing is to have universal adapter, because the things which we use back in Pakistan, they are designed differently than over here. The sockets are different, so you should have universal adapter. Just bring 1 or 2, because even if you plan to buy new stuff over here, you need to use your previous stuff for at least for a week or 2. So bring universal adapter, which will allow you to use the Pakistani items over here easily. So I guess that's all.
Thank you. So next question is for Sana. Sana, what surprised you the most when you started school? How did you deal with it?
Yeah, so I would also just like to add something to the previous question. If you, this is, a very small thing, but if you wear glasses, I would suggest you carry an extra pair with you, because eyewear in the US is pretty expensive. And if you lose or like break your glasses, you'll have to, cough up a lot of money for a new pair. So I would suggest that you get an extra one made from here and take it with you. Regarding what surprised me most when I started school was just the amount of reading that I had to do. So my subject, which is literature, is anyway a very reading intensive subject. So I knew going in that I would have to read a lot, but just how much I did not know until I started. We were given about like 500 to 600 pages to read every week. And at first, the workload just hit me like a ton of bricks, as I'm sure it did to a lot of other people. Everything there is very like the classes are very discussion centered, where you have to where rote learning or just reproducing an answer from a book is not acceptable. You have to actually use your analytical or critical thinking skills. This wasn't something that I had done a lot of when I was in college or university in Pakistan, so that threw me off at first. But I guess over time I started to get the hang of things. Talking with peers and teachers really helped. Like a few other people mentioned, the good thing is that the teachers there are very accessible, and they encourage that you reach out and ask questions or just, for feedback or suggestions or whatever. So you can make an appointment with your teacher during office hours, and they will encourage you to, ask questions and give you good feedback. Um, and the other thing was I started in spring of 2021. So my classes were mostly on Zoom. That was also a big difference. Um, I mean, as soon as the Zoom meeting ends, your contact with your class fellows is over. There's no like, how you linger back and have conversations or walk with someone to the next class. That sort of stuff isn't there. It's done when the meeting ends. So you have to make kind of a special effort to reach out to people and connect with them if you want to talk outside of class. My university had a really nice coffee chat program where they asked you to sign up and they matched you with other students based on your preferences, and you could either have a Zoom meeting or go out for coffee and connect with them. This kind of stuff also generally doesn't happen in Pakistan, so this was really helpful because you realize when you speak to other people that other students are also going through the exact same things that you're going through: Zoom fatigue, homesickness, academic pressure. So yeah, those were the things that were different about the classroom setup from Pakistan.
Thank you, Sana. And because of time limitation, I might skip few questions. If we could go to the next slide, please. And next slide, please. So Sana, this question is again for you. If we can go to the next one. How much cash should students carry? Could you access your bank in Pakistan? And how long did it take for you to open an account in the USA?
Yeah, so I think it generally depends on what kind of setup you're going into. I was going into a fully furnished house that was already, the kitchen was set up. I didn't have to buy any furniture, mattress, or anything. So I took about $4,000 to $5,000, and that was very comfortable for me. I did not access my account from there primarily because I asked a few banks and they didn't. I believe you have to have a different sort of bank account if you want to access it from there. So I just took cash, and I think that you're allowed to take about $10,000 before you have to declare it at the airport and fill a form and everything. So I didn't even take 10,000. I took about 4,000 to 5,000. And I opened a bank account there, I think on my third day there. It's pretty easy. The account is functional immediately, and your debit card arrives in about a week or 10 days time. You basically need your passport, your I-20 form, and your college acceptance letter in order to open the account. And it's pretty smooth. You don't run into any problems in doing that.
Thank you, Sana. So the next question is for Saman and Mohammed. If someone has received an assistantship, how should they carry their work and study load? Is it easy or manageable? Saman, would you like to start?
Sure. So I got a job to work as a graduate teaching assistant at my university. And I'm going to be honest, it is a lot of work. I was probably doing my work 80% of the time. And as everyone else has shared, your study is already very thorough. You have a lot of stuff to read. So it was very difficult to manage in the initial 4 weeks at least. But the good thing was that the people that I'm working with, my colleagues who are also graduate students themselves, and the supervisor that I'm with, they're very understanding. They were there to help me at every step. They were there to help me even figure out how to do things, how not to do things. It's important. I know these things are simple, but it's very, very important that you use a daily planner. You have your week scheduled out even 2-3 weeks in advance, because you need to know how much time you have for your own self, for your homework, and for your work. And another very important thing is self-care. If you're not, I'm going to be honest, you won't be sleeping all that much, but you need to figure out to take care of yourself, eat well, because if you're not eating well, not taking care of yourself, it's going to affect your study and your work even more. So it is a little difficult to manage. It's going to take a little bit of time to get used to it, but you'll get there eventually. And like I said, it would be a very steep learning curve. You're going to learn a lot of things, but things would come to you eventually. And just keep an open mind and stay in contact with the people around you, with the friends and colleagues and whoever is your supervisor. Yeah.
Thank you. Mohammed, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think she covered it pretty well. Generally, what one tip will be that you'll have to prioritize. You will not be able to do everything you're supposed to do really in an ideal world. So there will be certain things you'll have to drop. So just be ready to do that, and you got to embrace that there will be priorities that you'll have to set for yourself.
Yeah. And sorry, but I just wanted to add that for my job, I am responsible for my entire class. I think in most of other universities, you're supposed to be helping the professor because you're technically a graduate teaching the system. But I have to create the whole course. I have to teach. I have to grade it, everything, kind of like how every other professor is doing. So maybe my work was a little bit more than you might have, but like I said, it will be different in every university. If you stay in touch with everyone around you, they'll guide you how to do that properly. So yeah.
Thank you. And I'll just quickly add, we have been talking about this in our previous sessions as well. If managing workload is important, as a graduate student, you'll have to do lots of stuff. So if you need to, if you need help, please talk to your professors. If you cannot manage your workload for any reason, or if you need more time, please talk to your professors and your advisor. If we could go to the next slide. I would say go to the next, if we can skip this one. Yeah. So this question is for all our panelists. What one advice will you give to students based upon your own experience? Madiha, would you like to start?
Yes, sure. So I would recommend to don't forget breathing. Like just like when you reach there, you are overwhelmed and you want to just start over, but take a pause, like take care, stay hydrated. You have to walk a lot, take care of your like eating, these are very essential things that will keep you going. And once in a week, on a weekend, or like on a Saturday morning, just go out. Don't just get stuck in the house. And when you guys will come here, don't miss on your orientations and departmental orientation or university orientation. You meet a lot of people and try to make friends out of your study groups as well. Sometimes you just want to make friends for the study groups. No, you like when the semester is going very crazy, you just need a break or something. Just take a break and recharge yourself and then go back and just fight.
Thank you. Atif, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. I would say learn cooking before coming here. You will need that. You cannot really rely on outside food every day. If you know how to cook, you are then you are doing something good because you will need that. Other thing, participate in school activities as much as you can. Don't miss your orientation, as Madiha said, and there will be many clubs. You need to participate in them because at the start you feel overwhelmed, you feel lonely. Everybody feels that way. If you have some people around you, you can talk to, or you can hang out with, that will be a really helpful thing for you. And the main thing for grad students, stay connected with your advisor. Talk with them, at least meet them once a week. That should be a minimum. That's what I do. You meet with your advisor every week and you keep them updated. It depends from university to university, but most of the schools here allow you to choose your own courses, devise, like make your own program. So keep the guy updated, like what you want. Be clear and don't hesitate to ask questions. They don't want you, they don't expect from you that you know everything. So you should be good to ask anything you like. Just push him and he will push you back. But keep them updated about everything, about your courses. If you're not making progress in one of your courses, if you are an grad assistant, you're having problems with them, keep the guy updated at all the time. That will be really helpful for you. He will really reach out for you and try to help you. And stay connected with your family. There is a time difference, but you need your family. There are times when you really need to talk to them. And I guess that's all.
Thank you. Sana, would you like to go next?
Sure. I would say try new things. As cliched as it sounds, you should step out of your comfort zone. Going there is and being on your own is such a character building and learning experience. You're in a different country, you're experiencing a different culture, interacting with people from all across the world. And I've noticed that the boundaries of geography, class, religion that we are sometimes very rigid about, those kind of seem to blur when you're there. So it's a really good opportunity to experience new cultures, try out different cuisines, learn about the rest of the world, and just have a good time.
Thank you. Kalsum, you have been taking online classes, I know, but if you want to add something, if you want to share something.
Based on my online classes experience, I will strongly advise that never hesitate to approach or ask for help from your professor, advisor, or class fellow. Like, don't be shy. That's all.
Thank you. Great advice. Mohammed, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I'll be precise. I'll say that don't be scared of trying new things and taking risks. There are certain activities that I personally didn't have access to in Pakistan. Over here, you'll have that. So take those on. Like it will be fun. You'll have a good time. So thank you.
And Saman?
I think everyone has already given very, very good advices. I'll just add that because it's a different culture, it's a different way of living here. We're not accustomed to this. So if you're not understanding anything, just ask your friends or classmates, how does this work? Like, how do I get a new apartment, or how do I buy insurance, or whatever it is. They will give you the American way of doing things, and then you can, do it your own way. And another thing that I would like to add here that kind of happened to me was that when you're going, if I hope it doesn't happen to anyone, but if at the airport you're at the immigration office, don't argue with the immigration officer, because that can go very wrong. He just started kind of arguing with me because my um, my I-20 was folded, and he got mad at me for that because I had put it in my bag and it was folded. And I realized pretty quickly that he was just probably testing me. So I stopped giving him any excuses or anything. And I think he calmed down after that, and he handed me back my documents because he was like, we're going to ship you back to Pakistan, or someone from your someone from your university would have to come here to pick you up. So just don't argue with them if you're in any kind of that situation. Just be calm.
Thank you. Now we'll take a few questions from our audience. Let me see. Any one of our panelists can take a lead. What are some essential items should we carry with us to US from Pakistan other than documents? Fasana, would you like to?
Go ahead. Yeah. I think a lot of this was covered in a previous question, but another thing that I would say that you need to carry with you is some medicines, just basic painkillers and stuff that you're used to here. I think you should carry them with you, especially with everything that's going on these days. You just need, a few medicines that you're used to and that your system is used to. I feel like you should carry those. I took Tushanda because that's my go-to for flu or anything like that. So I took a few packets of those.
Thank you. Some of the questions in the Q&A box have been already answered by our panelists. So I'll go to the next one. The next question is getting driver's license recommended or not? What has been your experience with public transportation and or driving around?
I can take that question. I would say if you don't know driving, learn driving. It's a very important skill to have. and having the public transportation literally varies from state to state, city to city. It varies a lot. And you will learn that according to your city and your state when you will be there. But knowing driving and coming here, even if you are not going to buy a car, having a driving license helps you. You can rent a car, or like if you are going out with friends, like you make some plans after getting adjusted here, that also helps you. And yeah, it's a plus, knowing driving and getting the driving license. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is, what would be one thing you wish you knew before leaving for the US? Anyone would like to add to that?
I wish I knew that how much ice they put in water, like a full glass of ice and a few drops of water. That's like a funny thing that I wish I knew, because whenever I was looking for water, like in the gatherings, I'll get just a glass full of ice there.
Thank you, Andia. Any other panelists would like to add something?
Just a general thing that life is really fast paced here. People don't stop. They're constantly working. So just be prepared for that mentally and physically as well.
Thank you. Next question is, do we have to buy health insurance in full for a semester, or it can be bought through payment plan if one is considering to buy university health insurance?
I guess I can answer that because I also enrolled in a payment plan. My health insurance was included in my university fee, so it was included in that payment plan. But again, maybe someone else can answer that. Other universities might have different rules for that. Of course, there's also option to buy that in full before the semester starts. So it would vary with your own university.
Yeah, I would just add, please check with your university about the payment plan, and they'll be able to help you, guide you better on this.
And I will add to this, like payment plan or no payment plan, you are supposed to be insured at all times. So like payment plan might be like help you to pay it in like small amounts or like monthly or something, but you are supposed to cover it for the all the time that you are here. Just make sure every university will have different rules or like or different options for the insurances. The best option is to contact the university international student office and the health center. All universities have their own health centers and they have their own offices to guide students, and insurance offices. Reach out to them.
Thank you. That's a great advice. I would agree. Please reach out to your university and ask them, what are their specific requirements.
Yeah, because I want to add that when you have the when you contact the university and buy the insurance, university health center facilities are mostly right there, and they are available to you for they are included in the insurance. If you buy some like insurance that is not covering the university's health center or the most of the health professionals that are in your area, then that insurance will be good for nothing.
Thank you. So the next question is for Sana. Sana, if you can, answer this. University of Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh doesn't allow graduate students to live on campus. I'm trying for an off-campus accommodation. Just wanted to know about the average utility expenses. Sana, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, so hi, Azaz. I would say it generally depends on usage and like the season, etc. But for a ballpark figure, it's usually around $50 to $80 a month. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think the last question is, does international driving license work over there?
Yes, for 1 year. You can drive here for 1 year if you have international driving license. After that, I guess you need to have
But
the
that too depends on the state that you're going to. Like
oh,
in our state, Pakistani international driving license doesn't help. In some states, it works for 3 months, or like Atif said that in his place it works for 1 year. So it varies, I
it
think.
might change
Yeah,
state to state.
yeah. I'll also say that please reach out to your university, reach out to the international office and ask them this question, and they'll be able to guide you better. Different universities, rules and requirements may differ from other universities, so you need to reach out to your university and your international office. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Thank you all. I would like to thank all our panelists for taking the time to answer all our questions and for the session. Moving on, we would like to inform you of an online workshop on managing cultural shock being hosted by Education USA Pakistan in collaboration with Dr. Jim Robinson and Mr. Ethan on July 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. This 2-hour online workshop explores how an improvisational mindset can help international students navigate culture shock. We have already shared the registration details with you all via email. We will also share reminder emails before the session. If we could go to the next slide, if you need to speak to an Education USA advisor, we are here for you. Please contact your assigned advisor. If you do not know who your assigned advisor is, please email your nearest center. You can check out our center emails on the slide or register for our free advising services by visiting our website educationusa.pk. Next slide, please. We also highly encourage you all to follow us on our official social media platforms, each of Education USA Pakistan, USEFP, and the US Embassy to stay updated. Lastly, any parting words from our panelists before we formally conclude our presentation and move on to our quiz? Madiha, you're mute.
I was like, okay, I think we have shared it all, and good luck to everyone and safe travels.
Thank you. Sana, were you saying something?
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Good luck and travel safe. Have fun there.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.